Good evening. It is 6:32 on November 15th, 2018, and this is the November regular board meeting of the Vernon Hills Park Board of Commissioners. Call to order and roll call, please.
Commissioner Kessler.
Here.
Commissioner Robbins.
Here.
Commissioner Moline.
Here.
Commissioner Blue.
Present.
President Dorhofer.
Here, if we could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The first item on the agenda this evening is the omnibus vote agenda. The omnibus vote agenda is any item that, items under the omnibus vote agenda are considered routine and or non-controversial and be approved by one motion. If a separate vote on any one item is desired, it will be pulled from the omnibus vote agenda and voted on separately. Items included in the omnibus for this evening are the minutes of the regular board meeting dated October 25th, 2018, payables less Granger and payroll through November 15th, 2018, in the amount of $661,429.58. Could I have a motion to approve the omnibus vote agenda?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner Moline.
Yes.
Commissioner Robbins.
Yes.
Commissioner Blue.
Yes.
Commissioner Kessler.
Yes.
President Dorhofer.
Yes, next item on the agenda, the financial reports for the period ending October 31st. Marla, any changes or additions to the financial reports that are on file?
No, we're all good, thank you.
Very good, thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is the welcome to visitors and guests public comment period. We have a little bit of a treat tonight for a couple of our commissioners. If Commissioner Moline, if you could join me at the podium, please. Commissioner Mike Moline was first elected in 2003. He's in the midst of his third term. Mike has been a dedicated and involved community member since he moved to Vernon Hills. He continues to be a strong advocate of our park district, and we congratulate him on his 15 years of service to the park district. With that, I've got a plaque from the Illinois Association of Park Districts that reads, ensuring the quality of life through education, research, and advocacy, certificate of appreciation. Be it known to all persons that the Illinois Association of Park Districts did duly present to Mike Moline 15-year board member service anniversary award. This certificate of appreciation in recognition of outstanding contributions, community leadership, and service to advance parks, recreation, and conservation in the state of Illinois as a member of the Vernon Hills Park District. Michael?
I'll be very brief. Really, all I want to do, I want to thank my fellow board members, but more than anything else, I want to thank staff, because you guys have made this an easy job, and that's not always the case with a lot of boards, from what I understand. Jeff, you do an awesome job, and staff, all staff, you guys all do a great job, and again, I can't thank you enough for making my job so easy. Okay? Thank you.
Commissioner Blue, if you could join me as well, please. Commissioner Blue was elected in 2008. Jim's in the middle of his second term. Jim has been a steady voice and leader on the park board. He continues to give his time and skills as a park district commissioner and village committee member. We congratulate Jim on his service 10-year anniversary. And with that, we also have a plaque from the Illinois Parks and Association of Park Districts, certificate of appreciation. Be it known to all persons that the Illinois Association of Park Districts did duly present to James Ballou 10-year board member service anniversary award. This certificate of appreciation and recognition of outstanding contributions, community leadership, and service to the parks, recreation, and conservation in the state of Illinois as a member of the Vernon Hills Park District Association.
I would like to also echo Commissioner Moline's comments. Great staff. It's what really makes our district. We're just up here to not even guide the ship. You do all the work, and we all appreciate that. And I'd also like to thank the residents of Vernon Hills for keeping me in this spot and trusting us as commissioners to spend your dollars wisely, I guess. So thanks to all of us. Thank you.
With the whole board, yeah. I'd like to get Cindy and Bruce up too.
Well, let's go in the middle.
Go out here.
Be enough room otherwise.
You two in the middle.
Sure.
Or they can just stand right here.
Can I go behind?
How about just right here?
Right in front. Who's the black guy?
I'm the short one now.
Get the little guy on the end.
Just one of them.
That's nice. Okay, that's good.
Almost light.
Jim, you want a picture with your family?
Sorry, family.
Wow. Wow. That was a little harsh.
Ask me not to.
Thank our families.
Yeah.
I didn't think of that either.
We failed.
Turn them in.
And just an addendum to those awards, they would like to thank their families for supporting them in all the time and effort and energy they've spent on being on the Park District. So to the Moline family and to the Blue family, on behalf of them, thank you. Next item on the agenda is unfinished business. We have none. We'll move to reports communication. Executive Director Jeff Hushru. Jeff?
Okay, thank you. I wanted to first congratulate Commissioner Moline and Commissioner Blue on their tenure with the board. For the public, our board members receive no compensation. They serve 6-year terms. So as you heard, Mike is in his 3rd term and Jim is in his 2nd term. But our other 3 members on the board too are all in their 2nd or 3rd terms as well. On behalf of the staff, we just want to say thank you for all of your commitment, your dedication, your support to not only our staff but our community and what you do and the service that you provide. So thank you on behalf of our staff. Just to follow up on a few things, you have the 2019 to 2023 master plan. I sent you all a draft a few weeks ago. I had one inquiry from one board member, but nothing else from anybody else, so that's up for adoption this evening. You also received a draft copy of the property swap for the Phillips Road property, which was our old original park maintenance facility. So that document was approved by the village board a couple nights ago. So we have that for hopefully your approval this evening. Then we've got the resolution for the truth in taxation with our levy. The Century Park South project, I think I expressed a little concern with our contractor and JIP's commitment to the project. We've been meeting fairly regularly with them and with the village. Some truthfully is weather related. We've had a pretty soggy fall season here, and then now with the recent freeze, it's been a little challenging for them to get some of the work done. So we're certainly going to be into the spring season of 2019 before we see that project completed. And so James actually has been working steadfast with the village engineering team and just making sure things of concrete are being poured properly, et cetera. And there's some lighting issues that we're facing as well. I do want to welcome Joe Zimmerman. I think all of you have met Joe. Joe is our new Lakeview facility manager, and we're really excited about having Joe on staff. He started earlier this week. He's doing part-time hours this week, and then he'll kick it in full gear this coming Monday, November 19th. We certainly wish Joe all the best in his endeavors here, and for those of you who are out at Lakeview, please, I know you'll run into Joe. He's going to make it a point of working mornings, evenings, weekends, just making himself visible on a regular basis. I think the skill set that Joe brings is he's got a sports and fitness and marketing background. He's got a good sales background. So a lot of the essential tasks that I think we were looking for in a manager at Lakeview, Joe possesses. So welcome to Joe. The Lashen Center, I think I've spoken to most of you that the village is going to be raising that building. That's scheduled for January of 19. And there's been some opportunity for us to have future conversation with the village. I'm going to try to schedule a liaison meeting after the first of the year with President Dorhofer and Commissioner Ballou and myself and some of the members from the village board and staff, just to talk about maybe some of the dynamics of that relative to some input that they got from the community in that area about the tennis courts and potentially looking at adding a playground to that area as well. But the village is interested in potentially turning that property over to us. We have representatives from Spear Financial here tonight with the recent bond sale so Adam and Andy are going to be presenting up here shortly. So you got some information I pushed out to you guys either late yesterday or even today, I think. I can't remember. Just a reminder on our employee appreciation party, which is Friday, December 7th. If you have not responded to Amy yet, please do so, so we can get that kind of buttoned up, if you will. And then just finally, I'd like to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving, and that would conclude my report. I'd be happy to entertain any questions from the board.
Any questions for Executive Director Fugero? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is Finance and HR Superintendent Marla DeSico. Marla?
Thank you. Just a few financial highlights for you tonight. We are doing well in our receipts of property taxes. We're already at 99% for this fiscal year. Continuing to invest our cash in CDs, especially now that interest rates are going up. We have 66% of our cash right now invested, and we have recently renewed our relationship with Wintrust, or more locally, the Mundelein and Vernon Hills Bank and Trust, and invested with them and trying to develop some other ways that we can continue working with them. As Jeff mentioned, we have representatives here from Spear tonight, Anthony Maselli and Aaron Gould. In the background was Dave Phillips, and this, unfortunately, will be his last bond issue with us. He couldn't make it here tonight because it's a busy time for them, but I do want to thank Dave for all the years of service that he's given for us, and this bond issue, similar to the years in the past, was very well for the Park District, and you'll get a few more details here shortly. That's all I have tonight, if you have any questions.
Any questions for Marla? Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is Recreation Superintendent Tom Ritter. Tom?
Good evening. I just want to start by thanking everybody, whether it's a resident or a vendor or a staff person who came out to our Fall Fest event in the end of October. We had 1,000 people come through the building in about 3 hours. Very busy, but not too crowded, well organized. It was a very nice event, so thanks to everybody for their support. We have a few events coming up in December and January I wanted to mention. We have a new event on Friday night, December 21st, over at Lakeview's Aquatic Space. We'll be having Water Wonderland, basically a nice family open swim with a holiday theme to it, and Santa will be there. In his suit or not, swimsuit, I don't know, but Santa might swim. We're working on that part still, but Santa will be there. So that event is $3 for residents, $4 for non-residents. And if it's not sold out, which is, it's getting close, it'll be a $5 day of price. Our fourth annual New Year's Eve party will be taking place on that day, of course, December 31st from 4 to 6:30. That too is getting close to full. If anyone out there is watching this and is interested in attending the New Year's Eve party, I would register very soon. We can handle about 250, and we're in the low 200s right now with a month to go, so I encourage you to register soon. For those not familiar with it, it's a DJ, it's dancing, it's an open gym. We set up a lot of the activities for the little kids as well as open basketball. There's ice cream, food will be available for purchase, and we drop the ball at 6 o'clock. We drop the balloons from the ceiling, which is nice and gives you time to get home, potentially go out for some adult time later that evening too. So, January 12th, it's a Saturday, 11 to 2 will be our 6th annual Winterfest. It's a free event held over at Century Park, over at the north end of the park by the pavilion. We continue to have sled dog demonstrations. People love the sled dogs that come out and cruise through the park. We added horse and carriage rides last year, and they were extremely popular, so the horse and carriage rides will be back as well. We always have a campfire with s'mores. There's always a craft. It's usually some type of a decoration of a cookie or a brownie that we do indoors as well. And if the weather permits, sledding and skating, we have the skates available for free usage, free rental. Everything there is free except concessions. It's just a couple nominal priced items. Again, it's free, no registration necessary, so please mark January 12th. And this one's a little bit down the road, but registration will begin pretty soon. So I wanted to remind people that our 6th annual, I can't believe it's 6 years already, but our 6th annual craft beer tasting will be taking place on Saturday, March 2nd here at the Sullivan Center from 5 to 9. Tickets will be available to purchase online beginning December 4th. And a couple program updates. First and second grade youth basketball starts in January. Registration's taking place now. They have a skill evaluation on January 5th, and then game and practice times every week starting January 19th. The general setup for that is kids practice for about a half an hour, and then they play a game for half an hour. There's currently a little over 60 children enrolled. It usually ends up in the 80 to 90 range. In addition, our youth basketball leagues, grades 3 through 8, will begin practicing the week of November 26th. Practice schedules will be out in the hands of coaches and families this weekend. And our enrollment's up about 30 kids this year. It's nice to see in those age groups. And finally, any adults out there that want to play basketball, we have 4 basketball leagues that range from what we call copper to bronze to silver to gold, all different levels. They play on Tuesday and Thursday evenings at this, I think it's a Town Line School, starting in January, and we are taking team registrations now. They're available now. Take any questions if you have any.
Any questions for Tom? Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is Park Superintendent James Kim. James?
Good evening. Just want to start with Public Works starting to put up holiday displays around town, and we are scheduled to put some up over at the Sullivan Center, Lakeview, and Century Park, along Lakeview Parkway. We still don't know what we're getting, so please stay tuned. The CV ditch, starting at Phillips Road, going all the way to Kids Castle, we're expected to start to clear cut along some of the debris, the dying stuff on the east side of the creek, which would be the west side of Deer Path. So if there's any questions from residents, please don't hesitate to contact the Parks Department. We have a machine through Lake Management, Integrated Lake Management's go in the water to take debris out of the creek so that it doesn't continue to dam up. Basically just cleaning up the waterway. In addition, at Sullivan Woods, we've had a couple of beaver activity, and so we've cleared a path down to the ditch to remove some of those dams. If residents are curious on what that was, we are also going to try and maintain that path down to the creek just for recreational purposes. Over at Lakeview, we were supposed to start some roof and chimney work or tuck pointing work on Monday, but the weather has pushed that back significantly. Tuesday night's lows for mortar was not favorable, and then the snow we just got pushed back another day. We hope that they'll start Monday, and it's only a 3-day work process, so they'll be done by Thanksgiving. We plan to install at least two new parking lot lights over at Hartman / the SRA CLC facility. We feel that with the more activity that SRA has been having with participants being picked up at night, that more lighting should be headed their way. They'll be contacted with any schedules as soon as they've been developed. Right now, all I have is signed a contract with the contractor. Over at the old maintenance shop, as Jeff alluded to, the property swap, Mancoff Industries is expected to start working on Monday, November 26th, to start removing up to 900 yards of contaminated materials to advanced disposal. Public Works has been informed about the work. The site's been julied, and their engineer and their contractor has been outside to take a look. And lastly, it's not on here, is a solar panel updates. I met with Aaron at Train. He brought along representatives from GE. The relationship is very interesting. Train handles one side of the electric meter, and then GE would help advise them on the other side in regards to an application for ComEd, so that we get all of our ducks in a row and nothing gets thrown back at us. And then in February, we can apply for a solar panel incentive program. That concludes my report. If there's any questions.
Commissioner Kessler?
I have a question. When you mentioned the Sullivan Woods, that recreational path, it is designed not to be recreational? In your report, it says it's just for maintenance needs?
Well,
How is that being used?
Right now, it's for maintenance to get down to the creek for the dams, but in future, we're gonna grind it down well enough for people to be able to walk on it. Right now, it's very rough.
So is it safe for them to walk?
Right now, no, we're gonna cone it off.
I was gonna say, do you have a block somehow to block it?
We have it, maybe we're gonna put up a sign that says for maintenance only, and then maybe on the website, when we get a chance, after we've done grinding out a path, we can say that it's for recreational purposes for down to the creek.
Okay, thank you.
Help me with my directional challenge. What does clearing the east side of the CV ditch but the west side of Deer Path mean? I'm not sure I understand. How could it be the east side?
I
of Deer-
meant the opposite. It's
Okay.
the east side of Deer Path on the west bank of the CV ditch.
There you go, okay.
So,
That I
apologize
get.
for that. Yeah, that makes more
Okay.
sense.
All right, thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is Marketing and Communication Manager Cheryl Buman. Cheryl?
Good evening. Our winter program guide is complete. It is on the website, and it's going out to mailboxes early next week. So you should be receiving it, residents of Vernon Hills, before Thanksgiving, or that week, possibly Friday. This is the program guide that includes a free week pass to Lakeview Fitness. So every household in Vernon Hills will get a free pass, and it's available to anybody in the household also. Our spring, summer, and camp guide is in the works already. There'll be some changes, Tom will probably talk about that next month, about what some changes are for the camp, but that's in the works right now. We are holding an indoor time to play program November 29th. It's gonna be at our Century Park Pavilion. Everybody's invited to come from 12:30 to 1:30 and make some winter crafts for an hour with Cassidy and I. And it's a free program for everybody. We are holding a Family Aquatic Center gift promotion beginning Friday after Thanksgiving. We're gonna have sand buckets with our logo on it, filled with sand toys and with a gift card, and people can buy season passes to the Family Aquatic Center to give as holiday gifts. And everybody will get a free sand bucket with toys inside together with their pass. So that will go out.
Last year's rates, if you didn't already say that.
I don't wanna say that.
Okay.
Just to report, Lakeview Fitness had their Halloween Blink and It's Gone sale. People could buy a 30-day pass for $30 on October 30th and 31st. That resulted in 32 purchases. What we realized last year, we did something similar, but we did what we call a flash sale. There was no promotion until that day. So that did result in 54 purchases. So we thought maybe the flash sales may be a better way to go. Not so much time to think about it and just buy it because it's only good for one day. So, but both of them were successful. Coming up the day after Thanksgiving is our Black Friday personal training offer. This is where you can purchase 6 30-minute training sessions for $99, and they're only available to purchase on Black Friday. Good to use through February 28th of 2019. Tom and I and some other staff have been working with District 73 Middle School North on a go walking program. We call it the Middle School Marathon. So we reached our half marathon mark this week. So we rewarded teachers and staff with Go Vernon Hills water bottles. Just a fun thing we do. Toys for Tots, we remind everybody that Sullivan Center and Lakeview Fitness has boxes in their facilities. You can put toys in there for newborn to 16 years old, unwrapped. Pickup will be December 15th. And that is my report.
Any questions for Cheryl? Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is, Lakeview Fitness. Don't have a report,
No report yet.
but just Joe wanted to welcome you. You guys, Joe or Joseph?
Joe.
Joe, want to welcome you on behalf of the board. Look forward to great things, and if you're out at Lakeview, feel free to stop by and say hello and introduce yourself, and he's going to be very visible and very effective out there, so thank you very much. Appreciate it and welcome.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is Commissioner Committee reports. We have none. I guess we do have one. Congratulations to our school district partners who passed the referendum to add on and build the new kindergarten that will be located here at Sullivan Center and then add on to their existing school. So congratulations to them for that. Board correspondence, we have none, so we'll move to new business. The SRA Accessibility Resolution 6-18. Could I have a motion to approve the resolution 6-18?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner Kessler?
Yes.
Commissioner Mullane?
Yes.
Commissioner Blue?
Yes.
Commissioner Robbins?
Yes.
President Dorhoeffer?
Yes, next item on the agenda is the Park Maintenance Facility Property Swap Agreement with the Village of Vernon Hills. Can I have a motion to approve the real estate exchange and access agreement between Vernon Hills Park District and the Village of Vernon Hills?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Discussion. We have a lot of discussion. Commissioner Blue?
I'm not, nothing that against the action. I just had a question on the remediation. Is it finished, and what's our exposure?
So it's not finished, and that language is included, it's included in the agreement that the Park District is responsible for any and all expense until we get the NFR, the no further remediation from the EPA. So, we've been working on this agreement for 3 years,
I know.
and a lot of it is with Bankoff, and James, keeps in touch with them. We've got, as he mentioned, we've got this one scheduled activity starting on the 26th, and there could be another one. I'm going to be working with Senator Link on just trying to expedite this NFR through the IEPA. As you know, we've been at this for a long time, and every time that we have to go in and do some kind of remediation or removal, it costs us. Now, we've been fortunate in terms of the reimbursement coming back from the EPA is usually at about 75 to 80% of our investment, but it's still, I don't know how much further we can go with these guys. I mean, we're digging next to the police station, it seems like, where this tank was. And we can't get any real resolution with the EPA, and that's where it rests. So on our end, from the staff end, we're doing what we can. In terms of the agreement and your question, that language was necessary with the village.
With the remediation, I know you mentioned a large amount of spoils that we're gonna take out of there. Is that a recommendation from EPA, or is that our consultant that's recommending that amount?
James, you want to take that?
That is a calculation from the EPA on yards.
So they've
Cubic yards.
actually gotten back to us and given us some direction.
Yes, they've given us a map of the delineation line that they'd like to see soil removed and the depth we need to go. So in the proposal for Bankoff, it was anywhere from 850 to 950, because it's hard to really guesstimate how much it's really gonna leave. And then we'll have a direct weight when they bring it to Advance, because they're gonna weigh them twice at 2 stations as they're going in and as they're coming out. And then we also needed special insurance for the trucking company bringing it out there in case something does happen on 176 or on 41, wherever.
And once we have this big hole in the ground,
They're
where
gonna
we-
bring back with soil, gravel, and we're not gonna asphalt the village. They don't really care if it's not asphalt or not, because no one uses it. So they're just gonna put gravel over it, tamp it down, and then we'll be done until spring. They suspect our caseworker will want to see another boring to see if after the winter, when all the ice and snow is melted, if there is more leaching. Just to expand on this, the creek is the biggest issue right now. And reading into the reports a little more in depth, there was a second spill site, it looks like, from years ago, probably like in the early 90s, he suspects, where a tanker just spilled some and just left it and just drove off. Mancoff says that happens a lot back in the 90s. So that site was not where this fuel tank was. And that's what made it even, that's why we had to keep doing more delineation lines towards the police station.
okay, thanks.
Commissioner Kessler?
Those are my concerns as doing the swap when this is still needing to be cleaned up I mean, and it seems odd to them to be working on the property when it's not our property, or,
It is our property
well,
still.
but when we swap,
Yeah, it's still, the essence of now, when you sign the document, gets turned over to them. So any and all maintenance of that site or improvements of that site are on the village, with the exception of this whole fuel tank removal. Yes.
okay.
Commissioner Robbins?
Well, my concern is how can we vote on this when this huge issue has not been resolved?
I don't think this really affects it, though, because we're responsible for cleaning it up. If anybody
way.
would be hesitant to do this,
be
it would
them.
be the village, not us. You know what I mean? I don't think there's any downside to the park district. I don't think there's any downside to the village either, don't get me wrong. But my point being, if I was gonna take over a piece of property, I'd be more worried if I was getting it than giving it. I don't really think there's any downside to us voting on this tonight, because it moves us along further in the process, and
It's clearly stated in there who's responsible for what, so that's not an issue. Understand the concern, though. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner Baloo?
Yes.
Commissioner Robbins?
Yes.
Commissioner Meline?
yes.
Commissioner Kessler?
Yes,
President Dorhoeffer?
Yes. Next item on the agenda is the Truth in Taxation Resolution 7-18. Each year, the Park Board is required to meet formally and estimate the amount of money they will need to levy to cover the operating costs for the next fiscal year. At tonight's meeting, the board will vote on Resolution 7-18 to levy an estimated $3,811,000 in property taxes, less debt service in December of 2018. This estimate represents a 4.98 increase over the 2017 tax levy. The 4.98% increase is based on an estimate of the 2017 tax year EVA, which is the equalized assessed value, and will be reduced based on the actual EVA before any tax dollars are extended. The levy increase is based on the rising cost of living, an increase in Park District residents, and the expansion and improvement of Park District facilities. The Truth in Taxation hearing is required to be held in any year the Park District Board determines that the current year's estimate levy will exceed the prior year's levy by 5% or more. Since the estimate for 2018 levy does not exceed the 2017 levy by more than 5%, a Truth in Taxation hearing is not required. But for full disclosure, a hearing will be held on December 13th, 2018 in the Sullivan Center Community Boardroom at 6:15 p.m. That being said, could I have a motion to approve Resolution 7-18?
So moved.
Second?
second,
Discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner Baloo?
Yes.
Commissioner Meline?
Yes.
Commissioner Robbins?
Yes.
Commissioner Kessler?
yes.
President Dorhoeffer?
Yes. Next item on the agenda, I'd like to invite Anthony Maselli to come on up to the podium from Spear Financial to report on the. Aaron Gold, I'm sorry. To report on the Park Board sales results, bond sales results.
Good. Good evening, everybody. I'm Anthony Maselli with Spear Financial, and this is Aaron Gold. As Marla had mentioned, sorry, is that not? As Marla had mentioned, Dave would have liked to be here tonight. We had actually 5 meetings tonight, so we're kind of all dividing and conquering to some degree. But he is transitioning to retirement, and we try to keep a deep bench, and to make our bench deeper, we hired Aaron this year. We stole him from Batavia Park District. He was the finance. What was your title over there?
Director of Finance.
Director of Finance, Batavia Park District, and he has already passed his Series 50 exam, so he's an actual municipal advisor, which either says Aaron is very eager or the test is too easy, one of the two. So we took bids yesterday, November 14th, for the sale of the district's 2018 limited tax general obligation bonds. So these are the one-year issuance that we issue right up to the district's debt service extension base, which pay debt service on the 2016 and 2013 bonds each year, and also provide for annual capital. We received 3 bids, with the best bid coming from McHenry Savings Bank out of McHenry, Illinois. The bid was a interest rate of a 2.59%. McHenry Savings Bank would be a new bidder to the district. They didn't show up last year or in prior years. Actually, a new bidder in general for us. We've started to see them show up this year. So that's great news. It's always good to see more competition. I will say that we've seen interest rates, especially in the short term, which these are one-year bonds, rise over the last year pretty dramatically. Last year, you sold at a 1.69, which was a very aggressive rate at the time. You had some other bids in the low 2% range. We're seeing other bids come in. I would say 270s, 280s has been about the average this year. So a 2.59 is aggressive based on the current market and a very good rate. And glad to see McHenry Savings Bank step up for this one.
Well, I'd just like to add, it's been a pleasure working with Marla. I know Dave holds her in extremely high regards, as well as Jeff, and we just want to make sure that transition is as seamless as possible, and that we're here to provide as best a service to you as we can, and we look forward to working with you.
Thank you, Aaron.
Happy to answer any questions.
Anybody have any questions? Nope, we're good.
Great.
Nope. Oh, Commissioner Kessler, a late entry.
Sorry. How did we come up with the number that we needed? Was that through, because I guess we're also looking to invest some of our extra funds. And so what are those interest rates that, I know the interest rates are going up, but what are those rates versus what we have, and how do we,
These bonds are sized up to the district's debt service extension base. So what we do on our end is we come out with a,
so we can't go lower than that?
We can't go higher.
Can't go higher.
We can't go
We're
higher.
asking for as much as we got.
yes,
You're asking for the maximum.
right.
So I don't know what the amount is that we use for debt. Out of that
About
one.
3/4 of it goes for our existing debt, and then the remaining usually around 300,000 we use for
Yep.
projects.
Okay.
Yeah, and the way the award packet is structured, you're gonna see all the bids from the banks. You're gonna see the term sheet on the deal, and then you'll also see a final debt service schedule and a cost of issuance allocation of proceeds schedule, which really details what Marla said, the debt service, the prior obligations that are paid, and we'll also provide for $454,000 in capital money.
So I guess that was missing, or I guess we used to get that?
That should be in the packet.
I sent you an email yesterday.
Or was that in that separate, okay.
Pricing,
Sorry.
it's one of those quick things, pricing happens a day before, so we move
Right, it
pretty
doesn't get in
quickly.
the board packet.
But Cindy, when you say, how do we decide? We start with the most we can get for our debt service, and then we subtract. Right now, we're still finishing paying off the building of the maintenance facility. That's principal and interest. Then we're paying interest only on the Sullivan renovation. So once those payments are subtracted, then we can look at, what's the remaining amount that we can use for projects. Then you have to factor in the cost of the issuance, interest, et cetera. And that's how that number evolves from all of those elements.
Thank you. Thank you both.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Aaron. Thanks, Anthony.
Could I have a motion to approve ordinance 6-18, an ordinance providing for the issue of approximately $1,034,830 general obligation limited tax park bonds, series 2018, of the Park District for the payment of land condemned or purchases for the parks, for buildings, maintaining, improving, and protecting the same, and the existing land and facilities of the Park District, to provide the revenue source for the payment of certain outstanding bonds of the Park District, and for the payment of the expenses incident thereto, providing for the levy in a direct annual tax to pay for the principal of and interest on said bonds, and authorizing the sale of said bonds to the purchaser thereof.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Do we put a cap or mention interest at all, or that just is whatever the prevailing rate is when these bonds are sold?
No, the rate's in there. The rate, yeah,
rate is in
yeah, the rate's in, it's already in there.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Any other questions?
The rest is just financial advisor language.
Yep.
Lawyer language.
Roll call, please.
On your financial.
Commissioner Robbins?
Yes.
Commissioner Meline?
Yes.
Commissioner Baloo?
Yes.
Commissioner Kessler?
Yes.
President Dorhoeffer?
Yes, next item on the agenda is the 2019 to 2023 master plan adoption. Could I have a motion to approve the 2019 to 2023 master plan?
So
Parks
moved.
master plan.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner Meline?
Yes.
Commissioner Baloo?
Yes.
Commissioner Kessler?
Yes.
Commissioner Robbins?
Yes.
President Dorhoeffer?
Yes, next item on the agenda is the Lakeview Fitness Proposal. Jeff, could you like to fill us in on this, please?
Sure. I think I've talked to just about all of you. If I haven't, I apologize, but this is something obviously that crept up pretty quickly with the buzz that's happening in Springfield with the Capitol bill now that Mr. Pritzker is going to be in office. It came to me through Senator Link in just conversation that more than likely this Capitol bill is going to happen early on. And so if you have a list, preferential list of projects you'd like to advance with the Park District, I need to have those. So I spoke with President Dorhoeffer about, James and I sat down from a capital standpoint, looked at some projects, and most of what they're looking for are projects that are brick and mortar, that are going to be substantial in terms of adding jobs. Not dissimilar to what we went through a few years ago with the park grant. And so that's how we came to, let's look at some opportunity at Lakeview. Floor space, additional floor space that we feel we need. The addition of some lap lanes in our indoor pool, where we currently have 4 lanes. If you go back to the park grant, that was one of the items that we looked to move into 6 lanes, potentially redoing some of the locker rooms, and then potentially even some additional parking on the outside. So I met with President Dorhoeffer's direction. I met with Williams Architects last week to just sit down and kind of map out our plan. And then so what you have before you is I just need direction from Williams Architects, but I wanted to put it out there for just board conversation to make sure that everybody's on the same page or desire in terms of this particular project. We've heard anywhere from, 7 figures that would be available to us to just last week when I was attending the legal symposium. Amy and I and Jessica attended that. IAPD, who was our representatives in Springfield, were saying that there's a good chance the park grant could be resurrected as well. And the park grant, when it was in place in 2014 and 15, was a 75-25. The state putting up 75%. So on this particular, I'll just say the improvements that we're looking at Lakeview, I don't have those dollar amounts, but I would say they're probably north of $2 million and somewhere between probably $2 and $2.5 million. So whether the park grant would be available in kind of that quota, that would certainly be advantageous, or whether we just ask for the entire project support with our legislators is something that I think is yet to be seen. I can speak to, there's, publicly, Lake County Forest Preserve has already put in a request. They've got all of 18.5 million, I think, Commissioner Blue, of projects that they've established with their lobbyist. So I shared with you an email today from Dave Phillips, our financial advisor, that he's pushing out to any and all of his clients at Spear that be ready. This thing's fast moving, and it could happen real early in January, and you better have your act together if you want to be considered. So there's even Commissioner Blue has heard that there's some potential potential language in the capital bill that may even include some of the projects in the actual adoption of the legislation. So we want to make sure that that we have that available. So I'm just looking for direction from the board tonight on if this is a project you want to advance. And you see the costs there that are affiliated with the request and the proposal from Williams Architect.
Anybody have any questions,
Yes,
comments?
Yes, please.
Commissioner Blue?
Yes, please. Let me move forward. Please.
I'd like to get everybody's feedback on this, because this is something that is moving very quick, so. Commissioner Moline, do you have any concerns, reservations,
No.
questions?
Not at all.
Commissioner Robbins?
Good idea.
Are these proposal projects, are these something that we had budgeted for, or they're in our master plan over the next few years? Or would we have been doing these even if there is no monies coming in from Springfield?
No,
No.
It's our wish list.
no,
So it's just a,
it's a wish list, yeah.
So the way you have to look at this, and this is a reality of the situation, is it looks like Springfield's gonna be able to find some money to give out to park districts, to get some capital projects moving, to create jobs, to stimulate the economy. You've got two options. You can do nothing, or you can try to get a portion of that money that they're going to give out no matter what. So this kind of looks at, when we look at this project, there are some things about Lakeview that could use some improvement. The locker rooms need some help, just logistically. We could use a second room. We need more expansion in room. We got people doing stretching and working out in the hallways. We've got classroom. We got one classroom. We could use another small group S class so that you could run classes on the half hours and basically double up during your prime time to satisfy your customer needs. So the need is there. And if somebody's out there giving out money that we can tap into, I think our due diligence and our responsibility to the community is to try to access that for the community. Because at the end of the day, it's coming from tax dollars, and our residents should get their fair share of the money back.
no, I agree. What if the project is, say, $1 million and Springfield says, okay, we'll give you 500,000?
Then it becomes a board decision. Do we want to budget for the 500,000 to do that and pull the trigger, or do we not? This, by moving forward with it, we are not 100% committed to doing it. You're pretty committed. Don't misunderstand. But if they come out, if we budget $1 million and they come up with 100,000, yeah. But if they're coming up with half the money, I think it'd be in our best interest to get our residents projects at 50% off that are going to help the community.
Yeah, because I think it would probably look bad if they were offering us money and we turned it down for future work or whatever.
Agree.
Okay.
Commissioner Kessler?
I was wondering if there was any other projects you were also considering adding to it, or as a second, it sounds like other people have other ones ready to go. Was the pavilion or anything like that?
So there's a couple other, Grosse Point Park is one that we have master planned. That's in the plan you just adopt, and that's scheduled for 2020, but we already have earmarked funds for that, but we'll also be applying for an OSLAD grant for that. Hopefully, that's still available. We're being told it will be with the new administration. According to Senator Link, you cannot use the funds through the capital bill and on top of the OSLAD. So for us, the initial estimates at Grosse Point are probably somewhere between 1.2 and 1.5 for improvements. And that ceiling for an OSLAD grant is 400,000. That's a matching grant. So we could go and say, hey, we'd like to do this project and we want $1.5 million, and then we don't have to pay anything, and we could put the money towards that. We already have funds allocated with our plan for that. Another large scope project is sediment removal in Big Bear and Little Bear Lake. Hundreds of thousands, if not maybe the low millions. to kind of clean up that. Quite frankly, it's not a sexy project for Springfield. It's not big jobs, it's not photo ops, and that's a lot, the legitimacy of what these, what these legislators want. Having a guy out there with a vacuum and just sucking sediment out, and asking the state to give us $1 million for that, I just don't think that's gonna be a project that flies. And the other are just kind of mechanical. We've got a few $100,000 for some improvements for filtration at Lakeview and another filtration at FAC, kind of lower end. So we're looking at high volume in terms of project scope and what we're trying to resolve. And I don't know, Jim, maybe there's other things you can attest to in some of the work you're doing with the county, what you're looking at.
I just wanted to address some of Commissioner Robbins' concerns. The 18.5 million, 90% of those projects are unfunded projects through the Forest Reserve. These are projects that were put in the closet, put on hold, because we don't have the money for them. So we brought them back out with a chance that we could possibly do them. And that's what everybody's gonna be doing. And they're gonna be looking for, like you said, brick and mortar. They're gonna be looking for intergovernmental ones that involve multiple communities.
Jobs.
Get jobs
And shovel-ready.
Shovel-ready, but if you don't throw your name in the hat, you've got no shot.
Right.
And there's no guarantee you're gonna get picked or selected. But, I think we're foolish if we don't at least put our line in the water. See if we can get something.
Agree.
I agree too. I mean, I'm in favor of this. I'm just wondering if there was anything else to have ready to go if to give them a selection. So if one doesn't fly, if the Lakeview does not, if they're not gonna take that one, to have other ones ready to go.
Yeah, I guess that, in the bigger scheme would be Grosse Point, and then I would probably put, just lake sediment removal, because those are high dollar that we have from a capital standpoint. If there's anything else, James, you can,
And we did talk about new roofs here and at Lakeview. That was probably close to $1 million
between the two, between new
what?
roofs,
New roofs.
new roofs,
Oh,
For
between
both.
old Sullivan Center and old Lakeview.
yeah. And we could throw that in on the Lakeview ask. I mean, we could have Williams throw a number at us in terms of the scope and add that into the project. And that would be something, again, if we threw them, okay, now you're at a $3 million ask, and they came back and said, well, we're only gonna give you 2, then we might have to cut something from that. We have in our long-range capital plan some dollars that we've set aside for roofs here and at Lakeview, but they're 4 or 5 years out.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Thank
you're
you.
welcome.
any other comments or questions? Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is the W.W. Granger invoice payable. Could I have a motion to approve the W.W. Granger invoice in the amount of $660.66?
So moved.
Second? Somebody? Anybody?
So moved.
Is there any so moved second?
Votes are
Oh,
done.
second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner Maline?
Yes.
Commissioner Blue?
Yes.
Commissioner Robbins?
Yes.
Commissioner Kessler?
Yes.
President Dorhoeffer?
Yes, abstain, I'm sorry. I abstain. The whole reason we do this is so I can abstain. Next item, Commissioner comments. Commissioner Blue.
Again, thanks for the award, and thanks for everything that everybody does, including my family. So, thank you again.
Nice save. Commissioner Moline.
Thanks for the cake. And my family, but my wife left already, so she wasn't here on time and now she left, so,
She'll watch it on tape.
Sounds like Sarah.
yeah. Yeah, she's across the hall, but yeah.
Commissioner Robbins.
Happy Thanksgiving to everybody.
Commissioner Kessler.
Yes, happy Thanksgiving.
And myself, Commissioners Blue and Moline, thank you very much for your dedication. We truly couldn't do it without you. So, well, we would, we still have a quorum, but it's a lot nicer with you guys here. So, motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second? Roll call?
Commissioner Kessler?
Yes.
Commissioner Robbins? Commissioner Maline?
Yes.
Commissioner Blue?
Yes.
President Dorhoeffer?
Yes, we are adjourned.